All right, just to let you guys know, I did send this in an email. I do record all my lessons. The reason why I record my lessons is so you guys later can go back and review them, learn, say, oh my gosh, what the heck did I learn? I am going to throw a lot of information at you very quickly. My job is to turn you guys into mini dog trainers in 4 weeks. Okay, let me give you a little history of myself. I started to do this just over probably 25 years ago. I started working with a gentleman. We had this idea of training an assistance dog for myself, and then I kind of got the dog training bug, and from there, 25 years later, I probably see on the average about 100 dogs a week. With this in mind, sometimes I forget that you guys are brand new, and you guys are just kind of learning about dog training. So a lot of times, I kind of sometimes get in a rush and kind of forget that you guys are still in the infant stages. Okay, so with that said, I love questions. Okay, I love questions. Questions do a couple things. One, they tell me that you guys are understanding what I'm talking about. Two, they tell me that you're really engaged with what you guys are learning and what you're supposed to be learning. Plus, not every dog learns the same. Your dogs are not cookie cutters where every dog is going to learn the same. I'm going to teach you some principles. I'm going to teach you some things. Yes, I hope they apply to your dog, but sometimes they're not going to work for your dog. So if each week you come back and say, hey, you know what, Jason, this didn't work or this didn't work, it gives me an opportunity to help you say, okay, hey, let's come up with some new ideas. So please do not feel bad about asking questions. Questions are a really good thing, okay? So there's a couple things we're going to go over before we get started here. I have a no sniffing policy. This also goes for your dogs, okay? So a lot of people, they call me up and say, Jason, I want to take your class because I want to socialize my dog. Will my dog get to play with other dogs? And the answer to that is no. There's a big misconception when it comes to socialization. A lot of people think your dog needs to play with other dogs in order to socialize. This is the furthest thing from the truth. Right now, your dogs are socializing. Right now, your dogs are just hanging out with other dogs. They're around other dogs. This is socialization. They don't need to play with other dogs. In fact, this is one of the biggest things I really want to teach you guys, is your dogs don't need to play with other dogs. A lot of people call me up, well, I bring my dog to the dog park, which I really dislike the dog park a lot. I'll tell you why in a minute. Okay, but I would rather your dog have a relationship with you than have a relationship with other dogs. Let me ask you this. Did you get the dog to enjoy, or did you get the dog to enjoy other dogs? What I mean by that, are you feeding and paying for vet bills so you can help entertain this guy's dog over here? Or did you get your dog so you can enjoy and have a relationship with the dog? Okay, so let's kind of go back to the dog park. Dog park is bad for two different reasons. If you bring your dog to the dog park currently, I do apologize. Please don't take what I'm saying offensively, but this will make sense for a moment, okay? So you bring your dog to the dog park, you let the dog go free, the dog runs around, and another dog comes in, and it dominates that dog, and it puts that dog in a fearful situation. What did your dog just learn? Holy crap, other dogs are very scary, okay? Plus, every time your dog looks at another dog, it says, oh, I want to go play with that dog. So throughout the next 4 weeks, we're going to talk about values. So if your dog, every time it sees another dog, it goes play with the other dog, what kind of value are you to it? Pretty low, right? Okay, so this is one of the biggest things. Plus, the dog park untrains the dog faster than we can train it. Okay, you go to the dog park, it's time to leave. Have you guys, raise your hand if you've ever been to the dog park and seen this. So you go to the dog park, your dog's running around, it's time to go, and you can't get a hold of your dog. And you call your dog. Every time you call your dog, what are you doing? You're basically telling your dog that you have no control over them. Okay, so going back to socialization. Right now, your dogs are socializing. They don't need to play with other dogs in order to socialize. So when you're here, I understand we're kind of a little bit cramped, but when we're here, try to not let your dogs play with other dogs or sniff other dogs, kind of stay away. Plus, you don't know that the dog's next to you. Maybe the dog next to you needs some socialization. That's why they're here. Maybe they're a little reactive towards other dogs. You don't know that. You don't want to put your dog in a bad situation, okay? So right behind this young man here, the shepherd, there is a door. There's a restroom right through there. If you need the restroom, there's an office. There's an employee in the office there. Just walk through that door, and there's a restroom right back there. If your dog has an accident, there's paper towels in there. If you think your dog's going to have an accident, please, by all means, feel free to walk up, take him outside. I may talk about you while you're outside, but that's perfectly fine. But please take them out if you think they need to go. Let's see, any other things? Most of you guys have, let's kind of talk about equipment a little bit. Most of you guys have the correct leashes. Let me ask you this, who did not receive an email from me? Did everybody receive an email from me? Okay, So we'll cover that in a minute. So I think everybody's pretty good on leashes. I don't like flexi leashes for training. Flexi leashes are kind of difficult. You guys ever watch Jeff Foxworthy? You guys ever know Jeff Foxworthy? Okay, Jeff Foxworthy had a monologue he did a couple months ago, or a couple years ago. He said him and his wife were walking down the street and they had a flexi leash, and she had this little Pomeranian, or rat dog on the leash. The dog took off, yanked the leash right out of the hand, and all of a sudden now the flexi leash starts chasing after the dog. And he says it's the craziest thing, because the dog is running from the flexi leash. The flexi leash is chasing the dog, and he says it was amazing. Of course, he said it a whole lot better than I can. However, this is one of the reasons I don't like flexi leashes for training. They can yank out of your hand too easy. And I'd really encourage you guys probably not to use them at all unless you really have a good training with your dog and understanding. Let's talk about collars. So some of you guys, I helped with a prong collar when you guys came in. Does anybody know the fundamentals of a prong collar, how they work? Has anybody explained this to you? I think one lady I see. I'm going to use my friend Christina here. She's going to hold one up for us. So you are not required to use any piece of equipment. However, I am your advisor. I'm here to advise you, and I'd really advise you, if you have a difficulty walking your dog right now, yes, training is what we want to do. We want to teach the dog how to walk on leash. However, you are not going to train your dog in 4 weeks, which we'll talk about for a minute. So this is a prong collar. It probably looks pretty scary to the average person, right? You're probably thinking, there is no way to ever put this on my dog. However, a flat collar or a harness is actually harder on the dog's body and the dog's neck than this is ever on your dog. Okay, and here's the kind of the principle behind it. Somebody give me an idea. What did you learn about the principle of the collar?
I've used prong collars my whole life on all my dogs.
Okay.
For training. And I also, on this little dog, I got a chain martingale.
A martingale works. Okay. So a lot of people actually, even though they use them just like this young lady, probably has never ever really explained the science behind them. So have you guys ever seen a magician lay on a bed of nails? You guys ever seen that trick? Okay. So do you know how the trick is done? I'm a really kind of science buff, so it's all about distributing of weight distribution. Okay. So basically, the magician has a piece of plywood. They put 10,000 nails in them, and they're really close together. Okay. Creates more of a surface. If the magician was to take away half the nails and spread them out, there's no way the magician could ever lay on the bed of nails. Why? Because less surface area. So the prong collar works with basically the same principle. We have a bunch of prongs evenly distributed around the dog's neck. When the dog pulls, it makes it uncomfortable for the dog to pull on the collar, and the weight is evenly distributed around the dog's neck. However, a choker chain or a flat collar, when the dog pulls, all the pressure is on one part of the neck. I'm not picking on this young man, but when his dog came in, and I can probably ask him, his dog is breathing the whole every time. The reason being is all that pressure is being put on one part of the neck, and that's the under part of the neck. Okay, you could probably ask this lady right here. When she came in, her dog was basically doing the same thing. We put a prong collar on the dog, and it's a whole lot easier to walk the dog. So it's not a requirement, but I would much rather see a dog learning on one of these collars than a big flat collar and have the dog be pulling a lot. Okay, it's not a substitute for training. We basically call it power steering. So if you're like, I don't know if I really want to stay afterwards, I'll help you. I'll show you. We'll even try one on your dog if you think it'd be a benefit. If you do have one that I lent you, please make sure you get that back. The place here that I rent the building from, they do sell them. If you're wanting to purchase the one that we let you loan, you're welcome to leave them a check. It's not part of my business, okay? All right, let's see. I think we covered everything with equipment. Okay, let's talk about also in the email I sent out. What was one of the biggest things I really highlighted with the email? Did you guys get that? Treats, you got it. Okay, so let's talk about treats for a minute. There's a big misconception when we talk about food and we talk about using reward and not to use reward. I'm going to pick on him for a minute. It's nothing personal, but who here has ever watched Cesar Millan? Only a couple people? Wow, I'm kind of impressed. Okay, Cesar Millan is just basically this, they call him the dog whisperer. He's this guy on TV, and a lot of people watch him, and then they call me up and say, I've been doing what Cesar does, even though it says on the bottom of the screen, don't do what I do. However, people still apply it. So it's easier for me to explain why we use food using him in contrast. So for those who have watched Cesar, have you ever seen him use food or any type of reward? Okay. What Caesar does is he uses negative reinforcement, okay? My friend Christina here, we're going to do it. Now, I use Christina for a couple different reasons. The reason being is I train my dog differently than you guys train your dog, okay? A lot of people say, well, Jason, why didn't you bring your dog in? I teach my dog totally different. The reason being is, obviously, I'm in a chair. My body works different than your dog's. I have to find ways to train differently than I teach, okay? I'm not going to teach you guys how to spit food out your mouth. You can, but it's probably not that attractive, okay? So if Christina wanted me to learn how to shake her hand, okay? If she walked up to me and she poked me, ow, that hurt, okay? Why do you do that? Okay, what did I learn from that? Okay, do it again. Ow, that hurt. What the hell are you doing that for? Hey, don't do that. Now what am I doing? I'm moving away from her, right? Okay. Am I creating a relationship with, is she creating a relationship with me? Okay. So this is what kind of Caesar does. If I'm looking at this dog over here, but, hey, why do you do that? Just looking at this dog over here. Hey, how you doing? Hey, ow, that hurts. Okay. Now, let's reverse it. Okay. What if she has $100? Okay. I look at, hey, wait. Hey, I like you a whole lot more. Hey, this is kind of fun. Okay. So I know I'm being a little bit of smart ass. Okay. But this is why we use food. So let me ask you this. Raise your hand if you currently have a job. Okay? If your boss came to you tomorrow and says, hey, you know what? Man, I can't pay you anymore. Would you go find another job? I sure would, right? Okay. Duh. You're thinking this stupid question, okay? So a lot of people say, well, if I use food, it's called bribery. No, it's not called bribery. It's called teaching behaviors, okay? There's a whole list about shaping and teaching and all that we're not going to necessarily get into. But the reason why we use food is because we have to teach the dog what it is that we want. If Christine walks up to me and she says pickles, what the hell are you talking about? I don't know what pickles means, right? Well, I don't know. Well, why do you keep saying that? Okay, it's no meaning, right? However, if she extends her hand, says pickles, and I shake her hand, and then she gives me $100, what just clicked in my head? Wait a minute. When she extends her hand,
Pickles.
I shake it. She gives me $100. Wow. Okay. So what am I now associating with? She just taught me a muscle memory. Muscle memory meant, hey, if I shake her hand, I get $100. Does that make sense? Okay. So this is one of the reasons why we use food. So a big question I get asked a lot of times is, Jason, will I always have to use food? And this is a difficult question to ask. If you are me, then I'm always ready to reward my dog. Okay, the three of us, we compete in a sport that comes from Germany. It's called IPO. What you guys talking about? Okay, that's why. Okay, so the three of us compete in a sport called IPO. Basically, it's equivalent of what a police dog does. We have to do a whole routine that lasts at least 15 minutes without a reward to our dog. Without a reward to our dog. It's a long time. So it's equivalent of you guys going to work probably for a year and not getting paid. So you're probably thinking, well, there's no way I'd go to work. Okay, but let's change your brain a little bit. If for 6 months I paid you $100 an hour, for 6 months I paid you $100 an hour to do a job, but then 1 month I came to, or 1 week I came to you and said, hey, you know what? I can't pay you just for a month. Would you quit your job? Think about it. If you're getting paid $100 an hour for a year, and then I said, hey, I can't pay you for 1 month, but then I'll start paying you again, would you quit your job? I sure wouldn't. I'm like, okay, hey, I can go a month because I'm going to get 100. Okay, so that's kind of the concept about using food. Okay, you're not always going to necessarily have to have food with you, but in the beginning stages you will. We need a reward all the time, and we're teaching a behavior to the dog. We're getting consistency. Once we get consistency with the dog, then we can start varying that paycheck. Does that make sense? Okay, so every dog is going to be a little different. So there's a lot of different variables that come up when we work with dogs. One is age. Maturity makes a huge difference, okay? Raise your hand if your dog's over a year old. Does anybody have a dog that's over a year? Holy crud, you guys are all puppies. Okay, so a year-old dog is going to remember and be able to withhold behaviors, or going to be, not want to say learn, but going to be able to understand quicker. I'm going to put in a little easier terms for you guys. Understand quicker than, let's say, this little puppy over here that is 16 weeks old, okay? It's much like, when I look at this puppy, I see a 6-month-old baby, or I see a year-old child. A year-old child can learn, but it's not going to maintain that as much as a 10-year-old child. When I look at this dog here, I see a 5 to 10-year-old child, okay? So we always have to kind of vary our training based on the age and the maturity of the dog. Okay, the other factor comes in is the dog's eagerness to want to not please, but the eagerness to eat, okay? Now you guys thinking, wait a minute, my dog likes petting. Can I just pet my dog? Well, let me ask you this. Would you rather work for $1 an hour or $50 an hour? Okay, the quarter is a pet. The $50 an hour is, hopefully we'll talk about treats in a minute, but the food you use. Okay, so the dog's eagerness to eat makes a huge difference. Okay, which we'll talk about engagements. The first thing we're going to work on tonight. We'll talk about that in a minute. So now let's talk about the type of food we use can dictate how quick our dog learns. If you notice in my email a lot of time, I mentioned hot dogs, cheese, something high value. Okay, it wasn't because I want your dogs to learn how to eat people food. There's a big FUBAR about feeding your dog people food. A lot of people think, well, if I give my dogs hot dogs and cheese, my dogs are going to start begging at the table. Okay, I guarantee you, if you never give your dog steak for 5 years, and one day the dog goes up and sniffs your steak, I guarantee it's going to want it. Okay, giving your dogs hot dogs and cheese are not going to teach your dog to beg at the table or to want human food. And then again, I don't consider hot dogs as human food, okay? They're kind of nasty. I used to eat them before I started dog training. Now I don't eat them. However, the type of food we use can dictate our learning curve. We always want to increase our learning curve, not decrease it. So let's say my friend Christina here, she wants to teach me to sit because I sit really well, okay? So let's say she asks me to sit. I sit, and then she gives me this big crunchy bone. Okay, and it takes me 30 seconds to 45 seconds to digest it, and then pick up all the crumbs on the ground. Okay, that's one scenario. But let's say she asks me to sit. She gives me a hot dog, and 2 bites, it's gone. What am I going to be doing next? Hey, that was good. Can I do that again?
Sit.
Okay, then I can do that again. Okay, so now what happens to our learning curve? Now our learning curve is increased, right? Okay, because the dog wants to do it again. If we can teach our dogs to do a behavior, and let's say we're teaching our dogs to sit, and we can do 10 sits in a 2-minute time frame, or even a minute time frame, your dog is going to get the behavior quicker than if we do 10 sits in a 5-minute or 10-minute time frame. That makes sense? So this is why a lot of times I encourage people not to use like store-bought food or even the dog's kibble. It takes the dog too long to chew it up. Unless you're this dog where it can probably eat a piece of kibble in a second, okay? But then again, let's talk about value. If this dog gets kibble every day, and then mom goes to work with the dog's going to say, that's not that high a value. That kind of sucks, mom. Where's the dog? Is the dog really going to want to learn to work for mom? Okay, it kind of goes back to, would you rather work for $5 an hour or $50 an hour? Okay, so after tonight, if you brought something besides hot dogs and cheese, maybe say, okay, go home and say, okay, my dog didn't do really that well. Maybe I can kind of experiment a little. If your dog is on a special diet from the vet, please follow your vet's instructions. I'm not a vet. I can't give you medical advice. However, I would encourage you to call your vet and say, hey, you know what? I need something malleable, something soft, something easy to digest and get down that I can feed my dog. If you're saying, I really just don't want to give my dogs hot dogs and cheese, go get some chicken breasts, bake them, cut them up. It works really nice. It's just basically baked chicken. Okay? Okay, let's see. What else have I not covered? Sorry to get ahead of myself a little bit. All right, so right behind my buddy here, Charles, with the shepherd, there is a board. Each week, my goal is to teach you, there's only 2 behaviors on there. Each week, my goal is to teach you 2 to 3 new behaviors. The following week, we're going to go over next week's, or the previous week's behaviors to make sure you guys are on schedule, and then we're going to hopefully learn 2 to 3 new behaviors after that, okay? Let me give you some warnings here. You are not going to train your dog in 4 weeks. I guarantee you, your dog is not going to be trained in 4 weeks. If you think after 4 weeks your dog is going to be trained, I will give you your money back tonight. It's just not going to happen. Training happens on an everyday basis for sometimes months, sometimes years, depending on what you're trying to teach and how engaged your dog is, which we'll talk about in a minute. Okay, so don't get discouraged. One of the things that I find with a lot of people is, and I hate to say this, but probably by the time 4 weeks are over, half of this class is not going to be here. Okay, and I really want to encourage you guys to be here. It's not that I'm not good at what I do. Okay, and it's not that I'm trying to be cocky right now. Okay, I say this because I really want you guys to understand that this is hard work. This is not easy. Okay, understanding this is not easy. I've been doing this for over 25 years and I'm still learning. I still try to go to seminars. I still try to... Oh yeah, it's chewing right through it. Good call. Okay, and I'm still trying to learn. So I don't expect you guys to learn this in 4 weeks. In fact, if your dog doesn't do really good when they're here, it's not a big concern to me. Okay? The reason being is they're in a very hectic environment, which we'll talk about in a minute. And right now they're very stressed. This is kind of like taking your child to Disneyland and asking them to do the math test in the middle of Disneyland. How fair would that be? Probably not very fair, right? Okay. However, I want you guys to learn it. I want you guys to take the knowledge and be able to go home and apply it on an everyday basis. So the big question comes up is that I get asked a lot of times is, how often should I train my dog? This is not an easy question to ask, okay? I'm going to tell you from personal experience with my own dog. I have a puppy that's in the car. He's about 7 months old. I do probably about 3 times a day, no more than 5 to 10 minutes, and I mix it up. I'm always doing like little behaviors. However, before I even got to that, I got a lot of engagement, which we'll talk about in a minute. So as a handler, you guys are your dog's handler, you guys have to choose what's too long or what's too short. Or not too short, but how long you can really expand your training. Age makes a big difference. This 14-week-old puppy over here is going to way be different than the 6-month-old puppy here. However, the 6-month-old puppy still needs very short lessons, very compact lessons. So if you really need a number, you're kind of not sure what to look for, then I would say if you do it 2 or 3 times a day, no more than 5 minutes for 3 or 4 months, you're going to get a lot of success. Okay? Ask yourself this. When you guys were in grade school, if your teacher said, hey, you guys got to be in school for 15 hours, how excited would you be to go to school? Not very excited, okay? This is why we have recess. This is why lessons are very short. And even nowadays, in the last 10 years, they've got to a lot of science, making school even shorter because they realize that too long lessons really stress the child out, okay? When a child and a dog get stressed, their brain turns off, which we're not going to get into right now, okay? So we're going to work on hopefully 4 things tonight. We're going to work on engagement. We're going to work on the release command, and we're going to work on sit and down, okay? So, any questions so far before I move on? Okay, you guys are awesome. All right, so let's talk about engagement. Engagement is one of these funny things that if you've gone to any other basic obedience classes or taken any other trainings, they probably don't even teach you. But there's a lot of importance to engagement. Engagement is basically the foundation. If you guys know anything about building houses, if you try to build your house on sand, what would happen after about a year? House would probably collapse. You can probably talk to this man here. He's probably looked at a lot of foundation. He's a realtor. So in order to build a house, you have to have a good foundation. Why? Because without the foundation, your house is going to crack. You're going to have a lot of problems. Okay? Engagement is basically the foundation of dog training. So what is engagement? Engagement is relationship building. It is basically setting the prelude to training. I'm going to use my friend Christina here. I do a lot of role playing. It just helps me explain things better than me just telling you. Okay, so let's say I'm Christina's dog, and what kind of dog am I today?
German Shepherd.
I'm her shepherd. Okay, I'm her 3-month-old shepherd, and I'm looking at this dog. Go, hey, how you doing? Hey, how you doing over there? And she asked me to do something. Hey, how you doing? Hey, how you doing? Oh, hey, I hear you, Mom. Hey, how you doing? Hey, what's exciting? Hey, how you doing? Hey, I hear you. Oh, really? I hear you. Okay, what is she doing now? She's getting upset, right? Because she's not, obviously not coming to her. Okay. However, now let's change the picture a little bit. Okay. Hey, how you doing over here? How you doing? Hey, what you got? Oh, hey, you're kind of fun. Okay. All right, I'm eating. Good, jolly. I like this. Hey, I like this. I like this. Hey, what? Oh, hey, forget that dog over there. Okay. Now what's happened to my brain? Now, am I focused on everything around me, or am I more focused on her? Okay. However, you guys are probably thinking, wait a minute. I'm paying this guy $100 to teach me to feed my dog hot dogs. I could have got on YouTube and got better. Okay, it's not about just feeding your dog hot dogs. Okay, this is where we really have to understand engagement. It's not about just feeding your dog hot dogs. Do you notice what she was doing the whole time she was doing that? She wasn't just standing here and feeding me hot dogs. It wasn't this. She was, her voice was high. She was moving around. I like to follow her. Okay. Action creates emotion. We're moving, I want to follow. This is kind of fun, okay? Here's a good example. Raise your hand if you married or have a boyfriend, girlfriend at home. Okay? So, you go home to your spouse, and your spouse walks up and just taps you on the back. And you're thinking, okay, maybe they had a bad day, right? What if they did that for 2 weeks? What would you start thinking? What the hell did I do, right? Or what's wrong, or holy cow, should I look for divorce papers, or what's going on? Okay? So it's not about just feeding your dog. It's about relationship building. Okay? It's about that foundation. Once we have the engagement, now we can start teaching or shaping behaviors. Does that make sense? Okay. So let's talk about where we should train our dog. A lot of people, they go for my class and they say, man, my dog did really good at home. I'm going to go to PetSmart and try this out. Okay? That's like taking your child to, like I said before, taking your child to Disneyland and asking them to do a math test. What's the chance of them doing very good at the math test? Probably not very good, right? Why? Because their brain is going to be gauged in everything else. However, let's say we went to that child and said, okay, for every problem that you do, I'm going to give you $100 worth of tickets. For every problem that you do, I'm going to do $100 worth of tickets. Now what happens to that child's brain? Now the child said, hey, wait a minute. I don't mind doing these problems. I only got 10 problems here, and I'm getting $100 per problem. Okay, so, however, sometimes the dog is not ready to go in that environment because you haven't laid a good foundation of engagement. Okay, so engagement is basically playing. Engagement is basically getting your dog ready to learn. Okay, any questions on that before we move on so far? Okay, in a minute I'm going to give you guys an opportunity to do this, but we're going to talk about one more thing first. Okay, so let's talk about the release command. Have anybody ever heard of what the release command represents in dog training, besides Charles, because he's taken my training before? Any ideas what the release command is? Okay. Can I ask your kids a question? What's your name? Adrian? Do your parents ever put you in timeout? Do you? Okay. Adrian, if you got to choose how long timeout would be, how long would you choose? If you got to choose. What do you say? 1 minute. Ah, hey, that kid's good. I love it when the kids are in my class. They really help me prove a lot of points. I had one kid in my class that looked at me like, are you stupid? Like, 1 second. Okay. But the point I'm trying to make, if the child gets to choose how long timeout would be, okay, then pretty soon what happens? The child will say, screw this. Why even go to timeout if I get to choose how long timeout would be? Okay. Dog training has the same principle. If your dog gets to choose how long they're going to be in training, do you think the dog would really want to train with you? Or would the dog say, hey, I'd rather go chase that squirrel. I'd rather go bark at the fence next door, or the dog on the other side of the fence next door. Okay? So everything in dog training has a beginning and an end. I'll say this again. Everything in dog training has a beginning and an end. Anytime we ask the dog to do something, it's the beginning of a behavior. But there has to be an end to the behavior. Okay? Ask your dog this. If you ask your dog to sit, does your dog just get up on their own, or do you tell them it's okay to get up? Most of you guys are probably thinking right now, wait a minute, you're right. I ask my dog to do something all the time, but I don't tell him when it's over, right? The dog basically is choosing when the behavior is over. So if the dog chooses when the behavior is over, then the dog is going to choose whether or not to do the behavior altogether. Does that make sense? Okay, so we call it a release command or a free command. But let's kind of back up for a minute. The verbiage does not matter on what words we use. Okay, I'm going to say this again. The verbiage does not matter. Okay, us three teach our dogs in German, broken German, and a mixture of German and English. And if you actually speak German, then I apologize right now, because I don't one bit. Okay, I had a client one time teach a dog in colors. Blue meant sit, green meant down. It's not the verbiage that you use. It's a verbiage that's associated with the muscle memory that the dog learns. However, consistency is the name of the game. If you tell the dog to sit, then that should be sit all the time. If you have husband, wife, spouse, somebody at home that's also involved in the dog, they have to be on the same page. Okay? In retrospect, it's equivalent of teaching 2 + 2 to a child. If one of these children went to school tomorrow and learned 2 + 2 is 4, and next day they learn it equals a different answer, and next day they learn it needs a different answer, would the child ever learn what 2 + 2 is? Probably not, right? Okay, so the verbiage does not matter necessarily, but it's the consistency that does. So one of the things I encourage a lot of people to do is go home and write all your commands down on the on the refrigerator, like a notepad or something, so whoever is involved in the dog can be on the same page as you. However, here's where it gets really technical, is you have to go home and teach them exactly what to do. If they are not open to learning, then they should never tell the dog what to do. They should never give the dog a command. It's that serious, okay? I'll tell you a quick story. A couple of years ago, I had a class, and there was this, I think it was about a year and a half Doberman that was in the class. And when she was in class, she was doing really good. But every week, I wasn't really seeing the progress. And the lady had two of her kids with her, and I kind of talking to her. And I learned just by talking to her that her and her husband recently got married. She had 3 kids. He had 4 kids, I think. So there's like 7 kids in the house. And I asked the kids that were there, I'm like, hey, do you guys tell the dog what to do? Oh, yeah, we work with the dog all the time. Well, Mom wasn't going home and teaching them what exactly to do and what not to do. And so the dog was getting very frazzled, and there's no consistency. If you guys don't have consistency in your dog training, this class is going to be a waste of your time. It's that serious. So make sure if there's anybody at home, you go and teach them exactly what to do. If they're not willing to do what you're going to do, then ask them not to do anything with the dog, okay? Okay, any questions on that so far? Okay, so we're going to go over a little bit of engagement, and then we're going to work on sit and down. So I am going to ask for a volunteer in a moment. If you're not good with performing in front of people, I totally understand. If you are, that'd be great. So does anybody want to be a quick volunteer for me? Kind of show engagement. I did. Release.
But you didn't say.
Oh, okay. So what my associate here reminded me, your release command. So like I said, it doesn't matter what you use. I use free. I would not use okay. Thank you for reminding me, Diane. Okay is too much of a word we use in the daily verbiage. Okay. Plus, if you ask your dog to sit and your husband and wife says, hey, can you go get the mail? And you say okay, and the dog gets up, now it's confusing to the dog. So I would make sure you pick verbiage that's not everyday verbiage. Thank you, Diane, for reminding me. Okay. Can I use you?
Sure.
Okay. I appreciate it. So is this going to come out? Do you have some food with you?
Yeah.
What do you bring me? I'm really hungry. Nice. Okay, bring out a good handful of food. Oh, this dog's going to be super easy. I can tell you right now, half her obedience is already gone. So let me ask you this. Before you ask him to do anything, have you taught him to sit or down or anything?
He knows sit.
He knows sit. Okay. So I'm gonna ask her to fail. I really appreciate her kind of throwing her to the wolves. Okay. I'm gonna ask her to fail in a minute, but then I'm gonna help her succeed. Okay. What's your puppy's name?
Andy.
Andy. In a minute, I'm just gonna tell you to just say sit. Okay.
Okay.
Andy, get it. Oh, now the dog's sitting. Here, walk this way, Lit. Andy. Oh, he's already super engaged. Here, can I use you? Yeah, clap a little bit. Come up to him, clap. Oh, there you go. Okay, now just say sit.
Sit.
Don't. Oh, the dog's really good. Okay, so most of you guys are not going to get this lucky. Okay, however, we can see that the dog is super engaged. So I'm gonna act like the dog. Go sit down. I'm gonna act. Not you.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna act like the dog didn't sit. Okay. Most of the time, what happens is when there's a distraction, Mom's a fart in the wind, right? The dog's like, "Hey, who's that over there?" Obviously, this dog is super motivated for food, so it's gonna make it really easy. So what she's gonna do is she's gonna pull out a handful of food. Okay. Okay. Good handful. Anytime you work with your dog, have a handful of food. Okay. That's the first thing. Always be ready for feed. Okay. Here's what I want you to do. I just want you to walk backwards. Okay. I say his name and feed him. And feed. Good. Keep going. Okay, come this way. Direction. Good. All right. Keep going. Kitty. Yes. Good job. Okay. And are you on your last piece? Okay. So basically, this is a simple engagement. Now you see the dog's like, oh man, Mom, I really wanted to. And the dog is offering to sit, which is really nice. Okay. However, I'm going to teach her free now. So there's a couple different ways you can teach free. Most of the time, the easiest way is when you teach free, take a piece of food and just kind of toss it to your left or right and say free. The dog gets up and gets the food, kind of sniffs the ground a little bit. Now the dog is realizing that when mom says free, I can kind of get up and disconnect. Or one of the things you can do is, when I do it with my dog, is I jump back, free, all right, and I just kind of move back and like a big motion. The dog jumps. I even let the dog jump on me, which we can talk about. But the dog starts understanding, oh, okay, training is over. Okay, so let's do this again. I will walk back. There's no command with engagement. Okay, she can mark a behavior by saying yes when the dog offers. Either, the dog is really excited, or the dog, let's say the dog looks at this dog over here but then comes back to her, she can mark it with a yes, but there's really no word for engagement, okay? It's just basically a frame of mind. It's much like this. When you guys come home, if your spouse brought you either a 6-pack of beer, your favorite beer, or flowers, what would your brain automatically do? All right, what did I do? And I want to do it again, okay? Same thing here. So the dog's like, man, I don't know what I did, Mom, but I really like this. Okay, try this again. So walk back and feed. Yes, good. Good. Okay, stop. Toss a piece of food and say free. Free. Good job. Excellent. You did good. Okay, go sit back down. Excellent job. Okay, so she made this look easy. A lot of you guys aren't going to be this easy, but she made it really look easy. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to have you do 2 sets of this. We're going to break the class up in half because we don't have a whole lot of room. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to have a handful of food, like 4 or 5, 6 pieces, okay? I want you to make this a little bit of game, get your dog to follow you, feed, feed, feed. On your last piece, tell the dog free the dog, reload, do another little handful, and then sit back down. So here's what we're going to do. From the shepherd here to the Weimaraner, okay, you guys are going to stand up. You guys are going to do it, and then I'll have the rest of the class do it. Vishla, sorry, I apologize. Dang it. I need to work on my breed identification. Okay. Good job. You guys can spread out just a little bit. There you go. Good. I want to hear you talking. I want to hear feeding. Good job. Good job. Good job. All right. Okay. Don't worry about asking for any behaviors. I just want you to work on a little engagement and feeding. That's it. Good job. All right. Go and sit back down when you're ready. Good job. Okay, so let's talk about a couple of things I saw. One, when you're working on engagement, right now don't ask for a sit. Even though your dog's probably kind of got a sitting down already, I don't want you to ask for that right now. I'd rather have your dog really excited about the food than, I got to work for it, okay? Engagement basically is just a game. I want you guys to start playing with your dog. It's more important than sit her down right now, okay? The other thing is, Christine, can I use you for a minute? What I saw a couple of people doing is they were feeding one, okay, and then the dog was like totally disconnecting. Oh, hey, what's over here, okay? And then they were having to try to encourage the dog to come back. If your dog does that, if your dog doesn't stay with you the whole time, you need to feed a little bit quicker. So she has, as she's walking back, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and free. Boom, reloads, and we do it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, and free, okay? You won't always have to do that, but right now we want to try to keep your dog not checking out. The idea is your dog is stay at least engaged with you until the food is you're done with your hand. Okay? All right. So I'm gonna have you guys stand up, spread out a little bit. Yeah, I'm gonna have you come right over here. Okay. I'm gonna have you come right over here a little bit. There you go. Spread out a little bit. Okay. Oh, feed. Oh no, feed. Just you have a handful of food. Okay, I want you to feed them. Walk back. Good job. Okay, hold on for 1 second. Okay, it's okay. Your pieces are a little bit too big. I apologize. Good job. Good job. Okay, reload. Let's do it again. Watch your dog there. Watch your dog. Watch your dog. Good job. Okay, so when you do this, try not to force him. Okay?
Okay.
So don't. I know it's hard. Don't try to pull him by the leash.
Okay.
It's much like trying to me force you to give me a hug.
Okay.
If I forced you to give me a hug, Would it really mean that much? Okay, same thing. Okay, let's try it again. You got to reload. Okay. Good job, Mom. I imagine you did really good. Yeah. All right, there you go. Good. Yeah, there you. Now see the difference? You're not trying to force her. Good job. Big improvement. Good job. All right, don't sit back down, guys. Okay. Pretty self-explanatory, right? Dogs like to eat. We're encouraging them to eat. However, it's not about just eating, okay? Do you notice now how excited you're happy your dogs are? All right, okay, now their brain is like open to learning. So, within the next, we're going to work on sitting down in a minute, but this next week, I really want you to work on a lot more engagement than necessarily sitting down, okay? All right, sit is pretty easy. We'll talk about that in a minute, but let's talk about down. Who here has tried to teach their dog to down? Okay. Who here has tried to teach the dog to down without sitting first? Okay, do you know why you've taught your dog to sit and then down? Yeah, this guy's, I like this guy. Basically, laws of physics come in. We think, okay, half the dog's body's already down. The rest of it's really easy, right? However, what happens is we are diluting the difference between sit and down. Let me ask you this. If your spouse asks you to go clean the house, or go wash the dishes, instead you go paint the house, how confused would your spouse be? Probably pretty confused, right? Why? Because washing the dishes and painting the house are two different things. So is sitting down. Sitting down are two different muscle memories. There's a couple different reasons why you don't want to do this. One, yes, it's confusing on the dog, but two, a lot of times when you tell the dog to down, even though the dog may understand, I need to put my whole body down, a lot of times they're just going to sit there and sit and look at you. Like, okay, hey, half my body's down already. What do you want? Okay? Two, it creates a very, very slow down. It's like the dog's got to put his butt down, then his front end down, and it's really slow. It's just not correct. So try not to do sit and then down. However, I'm going to teach you how to do the correct down. May I use you? All right, come here. Come on, young man. Okay, Mom, do you want to help him? Okay. Mom's going to hold the dog for you. I am horrible with names, so if I call you Mom and Dad, please do not take it offensively. Okay. Do you have some food, young man? Always need food. Okay. Mom's going to hold your leash for you. Come out here just a little bit out here. Okay. Watch what this young man's going to do. Okay. Do me a favor. Stop right there. I want you to take a knee. Get on one knee. Okay. I want you to put your left leg out a little bit. Okay. I want food in your left hand. Okay. Put your left hand underneath your leg. Okay. Show him the food, Mom. You're going to bring him up. Show him the food. Okay. Okay. Now you're going to bring him underneath your leg. So keep your hand low as you can. Low as you can. Okay. Stop. And wait. Okay. Don't pull him back, Mom. Sorry. And stop. Don't move. Don't feed. And feed him. Good job. So you see what we did right there? The dog learned to put their front end down first and not their rear end. Okay, let's try that again. Reload. Okay. Mom, do me a favor. Wait, hold on. He's already sitting, right? Okay, so pull back just a little. Okay. Okay, don't say anything yet. Don't say down yet. Don't move. Stop. And feed. Good. Good. Do me a favor. I want you to do that again, but I don't want you to say anything. Okay? You can say his name maybe once or twice if he's not paying attention to the food, but beyond that, I don't want to say anything, okay? Okay, put your hand underneath. Bring it all the way down. Stop. And feed. Good job. Okay, free him. Free. Good job. I know, it's a hard habit to get into. So, any idea why I told him not to tell his dog to down? This is really, really important. This lady's done some training before. She's like, I know this. Okay? Any idea? Okay, watch this. Can I use it for a minute?
Sure can. Am I the dog?
You're going to be a dog. Or you're going to be the handler, okay? So, say shake.
Wait, what?
Shake.
Oh, shake.
I don't know. What do you want?
Shake.
Put your hand out.
Shake.
What's that?
Shake.
What's that? Now watch. She's going to grab my hand and say shake.
Shake.
Hey, whoa. And then she's going to feed me. Whoa, what the heck was that? She's going to do it again. Wait a minute. Hey, every time you, and I'm the dog, every time you grab my hand, you say shake and you feed. Hey, wait a minute. Now, after a couple times, what am I going to do? The moment her hand goes out, I'm going to reach for it, right? I'm going to like, hey, I want to shake your hand. Okay, thank you. So his dog wasn't quite doing the down correctly. If he starts putting a command to it when the butt's up in the air, what is he teaching his dog? Yeah, exactly. Down means I keep my butt up in the air. So you want to make sure your dog is offering the correct behavior before you put a command to it. And I know you guys are thinking, wait, this is kind of weird because I see people all the time on TV sit and then they make the dog do it or they tell it it's not that. We first teach them muscle memory before we put a command to it. The word has no idea to this dog. He has no idea to it. He probably does because he's tried it. But if it was a puppy, he'd have no idea what down is. However, after probably 10, 15, 20 times of the hand going down and the body dropping, and then he starts putting down command to it, he's realizing, oh, wait a minute. When my body does this and you stay down, I get rewarded. Oh, this is what you want me to do. Does that make sense? Okay. So in a minute, I'm going to release you guys, have you guys try this, but I'm going to show you another way. Can I use you for a minute? Want to help out? Okay. Grab that pipe up there. Yep. So let's say you have difficulty getting down on one knee with your dog, or you have a very small dog. Here's how we overcome this. Does anybody want to be a volunteer? What's your dog, please? Does anybody want to be a volunteer for me? Okay. A really small dog. Okay. If you guys are old like me, you probably remember this from the 60s and 70s. Limbo. Okay.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, so watch what she's going to do. She's going to be a little bit too much for this puppy. Oh, no. It's not going to happen, Mama. It's not going to happen.
There she comes. Good
Okay, hold the pipe a little bit lower, okay, and lead her underneath. Oh, she did it. Oh, I didn't think the dog would do it. She likes to eat.
Yes, she does. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl.
Okay, pull it towards you, Mom, just a little bit, and stop. Wait, don't move it. We gotta wait till her butt drop and feed. Good job. So with little dogs, it's kind of difficult because they can kind of hold their butt up in the air. So it's gonna be really, really important. Thank you. That's good. I don't want to stress her anymore. Can we try the shepherd? Okay. You got her, Mom? All right, good job. All right, Dad, you're going to step over the top of this. Okay, put your hand underneath. Yep, step all the way over. Okay, put your hand underneath.
Over here.
Okay, your food hand goes underneath the bar. Yep. Okay. Here, just let her kind of walk underneath it first, guys. Just feed her, Dad, feed her a little bit. Good. Pull your hand all the way through. Let her walk all the way underneath it. All the way. Keep going, keep going. Yep. There you go. Now take a piece of food and toss it through the other side where she was. She sees it. Let her go underneath it again. There you go. Okay. Now a little bit lower, ladies. Okay, and oh, good job. And toss a piece of food. Say free.
Free.
Oh, wait.
Okay, let's do it again. Move your hand a little bit more and stop. Don't move it. And feed. Good job. So the moment the dog's body drops, he feeds. He doesn't want to give the dog anything until the body drops all the way. It's really important. Thank you so much. All right. So let's have you guys stand up. If you guys need the pull, these ladies can help you. If not, then try your leg and let's see what you guys can do. If your dog needs a little engagement, start with a little engaging. If they really are excited about the food and ready to learn, then go right into it. I'm going to have you guys actually just stay there, just because you already did this, okay? You don't have a whole lot of room. Do it right there. I'm perfectly fine with that. Okay, so oh, good job, you did it. So if you have difficulty with, like, you're too tall, then sit all the way on the floor and put your legs together. Use both your legs. But that actually seemed to work.
Okay.
Okay.
Out.
Yeah, you're probably a little bit too tall. We can either do the pipe or you can sit all the way on your bum and put your legs straight out.
So don't feed her until she's all the way down.
Nice. Yeah, so put your legs straight out. Yep, there you go. You just use them as one now.
Oh, okay.
Nice. Okay, good job. Good job. Nicely done. Good job. So the moment you feed them, tell them free, okay? Oh, you're a little bit too tall.
Yeah, am I too tall?
Yeah, you have to either we're gonna have to use a pipe or you're gonna have to sit all the way on your bum.
Oh, okay.
Do you have collars? I would have sold one today, but I tried to call you and you weren't here. But 2 people here have them. But I needed another one to sell today too. Almost. Good job. Good job, Charles. Good job. Have you done this already with them?
No, just the down, but usually it's go sit and then down.
Hey, good job. I like this dog compared to the other one. I know, I like him. Good job. He seems to be really stable temperament.
Yeah. Compared to
the other one. Afterwards, let's talk about his nails. He needs his nails done. I have a lady that I can refer you to if you like.
girl.
Good job. How's it going over here? Good.
And if you're home, she does it like she's doing 6 at a time, she can start adding down.
Yep, she got that really quickly.
Cindy. Cindy.
Okay, go and finish up the one that you're doing, and then let's move on. Oh, watch your dog there. Has all your hot dogs. That would be really throwing the dog party. Yes, of course.
About the down, we're not supposed to say down yet until they're fully
Yes,
down.
we'll talk about that.
In the right position.
You got it. So, this young lady brought up a good question. Now, what point do we start saying down? When your dog drops within like half a second, your hand goes down, and you clearly see the dog understands it, then start putting command to it. So a lot of times we kind of base this on like science. When we try to prove a theory, we have to test the theory. Okay, so we do it. Let's say we test it 10 times, and out of 10 times, 8 times we get the answer right. Then probably that's the correct answer. So if we're doing the down, let's say you do it 10 times, and the dog does it quickly, the correct way, at least 8 times out of 10, then start putting a command to it. But it's an animal. It's not going to learn everything the correct way the first time all the time. So make sure the dog is offering the correct behavior before you put a command to it. Okay? If you said, man, my dog can go a little faster. Yeah, it's going all the way down, but I think it can go faster. Don't put a command to it. Get the speed and the preciseness that you want, and then start putting a command to it. Does that make sense? Good question. Okay? Any questions on the down before we cover sit? Okay. Who here has not been able to get the dog to sit yet? No, you guys are all good. Okay. So do you think we really need to cover sit? So I'm going to cover 2 little key points to it. Can I use you for a minute? So one of the things I want to encourage you guys, when you guys have already probably started working on sit with your dog and probably already told your dog a command. So one of the things I see a lot of times that we do is when people tell their dog to sit, they do this. Their hand comes away from their body, okay, and the dog sits. And where does the dog sit usually? Way back here, right? Okay, dog sit. So there's some physics that kind of come into place here, especially the young lady with the little terrier. I forgot the dog's name. Sorry. If her dog wants to look at the face, it's going to have to back up, right? Because in order to see past all the clothing, and if you're a woman, you're built differently, okay? The dog is going to have to get backwards in order to look at the face. So this is why your dog sits too far away from you. So one of the things I want to encourage here, come stand facing them, please. Okay? When you do sit with your dog, okay, start with a little bit engaging. Get your dog really happy, excited about the food, and then draw the dog into your body and slide your hands up your body. Turn so they can see that, okay? Act like your dog is really small, though. Okay? Our dog's really small. It brings the dog to the knees and then slides the food up. And the moment the dog sits, she gives the dog a reward. Does that make sense? Now the dog isn't learning to sit too far back from you. And whether you have a big dog or a small dog, if you have a big dog, you just bring it up your body here. If you have a small dog, then you just modify that a little bit, okay? However, if you guys are happy with where your dog is sitting right now, I'm perfectly fine with it. My job is not to train your dog the way I wanted to train. My job is to give you as much information as in order for you to apply it to what you want your dog to eventually be like. Does that make sense? Okay. Any questions on that before we move on? All right, so I'm going to go over quickly what we covered tonight because I knew I threw a lot of information at you, okay? So, we covered engagement. Give me an idea of what engagement is. Okay? What'd you say? Excited. Well, not excited about food, but basically building a relationship. It's about building a relationship. Okay? I try to kind of get away from just getting the dog excited about food. Some of your dogs, like this dog here, it's excited about food. It's not about that. It's about a relationship with your dog. But yes, we do want the dog to be engaged with the food because we use food as a learning and shaping behavior. Okay? Okay. So somebody tell me what free means. Release? Release from what? You got it. Release from the commands, okay? So if your dog knows anything right now at home that you're using, you've already taught him something, start using free. If you open up the car door and you want the dog to jump out, free. If the dog goes into the car on command, it needs to come out of the command out of the car on the command, right? If your dog is crate trained, open up the crate and say free. One of the things we do with our dogs is try to teach our dogs, it doesn't matter if the crate door is open, you stay in there until we release you. Okay? If your dog goes outside to go potty and you don't want the dog to rush outside, start putting on command. Free, okay, you can go out. Okay? And we talked about down. We teach down. We want the dog's front end to go down first and not the rear end. If your dog already knows down by sitting and then downing, this is going to be a little bit difficult. So two things I might do. One, don't even use the down command at all. Start teaching the muscle memory. Two, you may even come up with a different command depending on how much you've done this. So if your dog knows down and it puts its butt down first and then puts its front end down and it's going to be a hard muscle memory to teach, then I would start by teaching the dog a little bit differently and I put a different command on it. So maybe use lay or maybe use to teach your dog to plots or some other language. That way the dog's not getting really confused. That makes sense? Okay? Keep your lessons short. Lessons should be no more, than 5 or 10 minutes. If your dog, probably first thing in the morning when your dog's really energetic, that's the time to work with your dog. It is not the time to work with your dog if you go and you take your dog for a 10-mile run, right? If you went for a 10-mile run, would you really want to come home and do a math test? Probably not, right? You'd be wanting to take a nap. However, first thing in the morning, your dog's exuberant, your dog's excited, that's a great time to learn. When you come home from work, that's another great time to learn, okay? All right, did I cover everything? Okay. When you guys leave, please leave not all together. Don't bundle up at the door. If you guys have one of the collars that I let you borrow, please make sure either you can purchase it from the young lady that was here a minute ago. I think she's in the office. If you have my collar, please leave it. If you have any questions or anything going at home we want to talk about or ask about, stay in your seat or come around. And if not, I will see you guys in a week. I really appreciate you guys being here. Good luck with your dog. I do, like I said before, I do post all of my training videos online so you guys can go back and refer to them. If you go to my Facebook page, like my Facebook page, usually I post the video there. You guys can review them and go over them, okay? Any questions before you guys go? Okay, you did good. We'll see you in another week. You're welcome. Tap the red one. Yep. Yep.